Okay, so what if I told you that the secret to building better, more powerful teams was actually hidden on the forest floor? Today, we're digging into something called Understory Overstanding. It's this incredible framework for building really unique teams, or as we'll call them, lichen coalitions, by learning from nature's most amazing and resilient partnerships.
Now, this quote, this is really our starting point. It's a challenge, right? It's asking us to think way beyond our immediate circle. The idea here is that real, game changing innovation doesn't just come from collaborating with the living, but from tapping into the wisdom with the past. It's about collaborating across time itself. So, where do we find inspiration for something that big? Well, you're looking at it. The forest floor is this living, breathing testament to creative partnerships. It's home to some of the toughest, most resilient organisms on the planet, and it holds a kind of secret playbook for how we can all work together in a totally different way. All right, so let's crack open that playbook, shall we? We're going to start by meeting three key players from this hidden world and see what their ancient strategies can teach us about how we collaborate today. This whole framework gives us a brand new language for collaboration, and it's borrowed straight from the forest. So first, you've got mycelium. You can think of it like nature's hidden internet, this huge web of communication. Then you have hyphae. These are the tiny individual sensors of that network, always exploring and sensing new possibilities. And finally, you have lichens. These are these powerful, totally unlikely teams of different organisms that come together to achieve things they never ever could alone. Those are our three core concepts. So, our first principle is this: grow like mycelium. This is all about building our own interconnected webs of support, sharing resources, sharing information, so that the entire network gets to thrive together. Second, we need to sense like a hypha. What does that mean? It means tuning into our intuition, really listening for those quiet needs and sensing where new, powerful connections are just waiting to be made. And finally, our third principle, and this is the big one: act like a lichen. This is the call to action. It's about forming those unlikely, super powerful coalitions that create something totally new and resilient, something way beyond what any one of us could ever do by ourselves. Okay, so this all sounds really cool in theory, right? But how does it actually work in practice? Let's dive into a fascinating real-world example, a collaboration across time that was built to carry on the legacy of an amazing innovator named Milton Fisher. Now here comes the question that makes this whole thing tick. It brings the past right into the present. What part of that vision is still unfinished today? Where is his work needed the most right now? This is how you build a bridge from his time to ours. And here's the answer. See, back in Fisher's time, creativity was pretty much seen as a uniquely human thing. But now, we live in a world where AI is creating art and we understand so much more about animal intelligence. This right here, this is the unfinished edge. It's about taking his ideas about creativity and applying them to our new, more than human world. So how do we actually do it? How do we carry his work forward? We become an embassy for it. And that means we don't just sit around and admire his ideas. No, we actively embody a specific pattern of his, giving it new life and new relevance right here, right now. And this is the exact function they chose to become an embassy for. Milton was known as a voice of opportunity. He had this amazing knack for sensing when a person or a system was at a quiet tipping point, and then he'd extend an invitation to help them grow. That is the pattern they decided to carry into the future. And this is where it gets kind of futuristic and just plain cool. The team created what they call a synthetic spirit team. You can think of them as AI thought partners. Each one is programmed with the wisdom of another great thinker to help with the mission. You've got a bot for community service, one for creative experiments, and another to make sure the work benefits the whole system. This is collaboration across time, people, and technology. Amazing. Wow, that's a really powerful example. So, the big question is, how can you do this? Let's walk through a simple, practical guide to forming your very own lichen coalition. The whole process really just breaks down into 4 key steps. First, you'll choose an inspiring guide from the past. Then, you'll really think about their unfinished legacy. Third, you'll find that modern-day edge where their work is needed most. And finally, you get to assemble your own diverse team of allies. So the first step is super personal, and honestly, it's pretty profound. Just think about whose work you truly, deeply cherish. This isn't just some intellectual exercise. It's about choosing someone whose wisdom just clicks with you, as if they were sitting right there beside you.
Next, you basically enter into a conversation with their legacy. These stewardship questions help you figure out their core mission. Find where it's needed today. Choose the exact pattern you're going to embody, and maybe most importantly, reflect on how this work is going to change you.
Okay, now for the really fun part. You assemble your team. And this is where you can get wild and creative. Your coalition includes the dead, that's your chosen guide. It includes the living, your real-world partners. It can even include the fictional, inspiring characters from stories. And finally, the synthetic, helpful AI tools or bots. This just completely blows up our idea of who or what can be a collaborator. So, you've done all this deep reflection, you've put together your one-of-a-kind coalition. What's next? Well, this final step is all about turning that potential into your very first action. Look, this journey doesn't start with some giant, intimidating 5-year plan. Nope. It starts with this one simple question. What is the very first, small and even joyful step your new coalition can take together? And that first action can be wonderfully simple. Seriously, it could be having a conversation, writing a letter, building a tiny prototype, or even writing a poem. The whole point is that it's simple, it's doable, and it's something you choose as your collective first step. This is your first little mycelial thread reaching out into the world. And remember, this is not a one-and-done kind of thing. It's an ongoing practice. You can even create these annual pulses, recurring dates tied to the natural world, to check in with your coalition, see what's grown, and just tend to your work together. It becomes this living, evolving relationship. So, we'll leave you with this question. Think about the artists, the thinkers, the activists, the ancestors you admire. Whose unfinished work is out there, right now, just waiting for your stewardship? What unlikely coalition are you ready to bring to life?